"Sir, you're under arrest for trespassing on your own property." That's what the cop almost said before I showed him my deed. See, this Karen had been terrorizing our entire lake community for months, calling the police on anyone who dared to exist without her permission. She threatened to sue me for $50,000, filed false police reports, and even tried bribing county officials to get me thrown off my own land. Here's the kicker. She had no idea I owned the $800,000 mansion she was renting. Picture dawn breaking over Lake Serenity, the smell of pine needles mixing with morning mist, when suddenly blue police lights start strobing across my grandfather's old cabin. Gravel crunches under tires as two squad cars pull up, and there she is, Brenda Carmichael standing on her mansion's deck in a bright pink bathrobe, pointing at me like I'm some criminal mastermind. What would you do if someone called the cops on you for fishing on your own property? Let me know below. Where are you watching from? I bet half of you have your own HOA horror stories. My name's Marcus, and 3 years ago I thought I'd found paradise. After 20 years in military logistics and a divorce that felt like getting run over by a tank driven by my ex-wife's lawyer, I inherited my grandfather's cabin on Lake Serenity, Minnesota. Population 3,200, where the biggest drama used to be Mrs. Henderson's cat stealing fish from the neighbor's docks. The cabin's nothing fancy, a 1960s A-frame sitting on 2 acres of pure heaven. Every morning, I'd wake to loons calling across mirror-still water, step onto dock boards worn smooth as glass by 40 years of Minnesota weather, and breathe in air so clean it made my lungs forget about 20 years of Army diesel fumes. The place smelled like my childhood-old cedar mixed with pine needles and that sweet metallic scent of lake water at dawn. For 2 perfect years, Lake Serenity earned its name. 47 properties scattered around 8 miles of shoreline, mix of blue-collar locals and summer folks, all following one sacred rule: wave when you see each other, help when someone's in trouble, and mind your own damn business the rest of the time. Then Hurricane Brenda hit. She bought the biggest eyesore on the lake, an $800,000 McMansion that looked like someone had dropped a suburban Dallas house into the Minnesota woods by accident. Within her first week, she'd introduced herself to half the lake by pontoon boat, always wearing those blindingly white capris and cardigans bright enough to signal aircraft. Sweet as artificial sweetener on the surface, but her eyes? Cold as January lake ice. The morning everything changed, I was sitting on my dock with coffee that tasted like liquid peace when I heard the low rumble of an overpowered pontoon boat cutting through the morning calm like a chainsaw through silk. "Yoo-hoo! Hello there, neighbor!" Brenda's voice carried across the water with all the warmth of a tax audit. She pulled up to my dock wearing a smile that would have made a used car salesman proud. "I'm Brenda Carmichael from the Executive Estate across the way." Executive Estate. Jesus. "I'm here on official HOA business," she announced, producing a manila folder with the theatrical flair of a game show host revealing prizes. "The Lake Serenity Homeowners Association has voted on updated aesthetic standards, and I'm afraid your rustic setup isn't meeting our community guidelines." I set my coffee mug down so hard it rang against the wooden rail like a bell. "What homeowners association?" Her plastic smile cracked just enough to show teeth. "The one that protects our property values from declining influences. That aluminum boat has got to go, and frankly, the fishing gear scattered around makes the whole area look like a bait shop exploded." My declining influence was a 1995 Lund that had caught more fish than her fancy floating living room ever would. The scattered fishing gear was my grandfather's hand-carved rod holders and a tackle box older than she was. "Lady, this property's been in my family since before you were born. There's no HOA covenant on my deed, and there sure as hell won't be." The mask slipped completely. Her voice dropped to Arctic temperatures. "We'll see about that, won't we, soldier boy?" She gunned that pontoon engine like she was fleeing a crime scene, sending a wake that slammed into my dock hard enough to spill my coffee. The smell of burning gas and expensive perfume lingered in the morning air like a threat, mixing with the clean pine scent until it made my stomach turn. As I watched her mansion's windows glinting in the sunrise like a predator's eyes, that old military instinct kicked in, the one that kept me alive in 3 deployments. This wasn't just some neighbor dispute. This was war. And I had the sinking feeling I'd just been drafted.